You are listening to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Attempt Adventure Podcast, a podcast all about travel, finding adventure every day, and seeking out adventurous ways to make life more interesting. From Bangkok, Thailand, I'm your host, Michael Desrosiers, joined as always by my co-host,
James Barrett in Boulder, Colorado. I almost said Bangkok.
You're not in Bangkok.
I am not. I'm very far from.
That's me. Oh, James, we're back. Happy Season 2, buddy.
Happy Season 2. Cheers. Can't see it, but cheers.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Four Noses Brewing Company Flatiron Fog Hazy India Pale Ale.
Four Noses? Like...
Four Noses. Yeah.
Interesting.
I will say it is okay. I stopped by the liquor store one day, and I was like, I just want like a 4-pack of something.
Yeah.
And I picked it out, and I was like, oh, that looks good. Put it on the counter, and she was like, that'll be $17. And at that point, normally I would never spend $17 on a 4-pack, but it's already on the counter. I can't back out.
Right.
It's like, I got to save face here and just pay for it, and it is not worth $17. Oh, well.
But it's beer.
It's beer.
And that's what matters.
Very much so.
Well, James, at least you're drinking to celebrate. This is the first time we've made it to a second season in all of our years of podcasting.
It is.
I'm proud of us.
How many years have we been podcasting?
We started in the summer of 2019. Yeah.
Well, again, congratulations, buddy. Season 2.
I'm thrilled. We're back. We've got so much good stuff coming up. We've already recorded a couple of interviews. It's going to be great. But before we get started, James, since it's been about 3 months since you and I have recorded anything, have you done anything new or adventurous in those past 3 months?
Yeah, for sure. I've done quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't have quite as much time as I would like to get out and do stuff, really. My job takes a lot of my time, unfortunately. And it's okay. I mean, that's fine. You got to make money. And I get to be on the mountain every day. So, I've been skiing. I've done some winter hikes, tried out snowshoeing. That was fun.
I'd like to do that.
It has been snowing all day today. So that's been fun. It's sort of a new thing, is experiencing like a full winter somewhere that gets winter. Uh-huh. That's odd. Because both of us grew up in a place where if it snowed at all, it was one day, like not even enough to stick to the ground. Meanwhile, there's 8 inches of snow outside right now.
Except for that one year.
Oh, God.
So when I was in college, it snowed like a foot. Do you remember that?
In spring break, yeah.
Yeah. We lost a whole week of class. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and then last year, of course, there was Snowmageddon in Texas, where it snowed about a foot. But here, it's like, if you get a foot, it's like, okay.
Right. That's pretty cool, though. I mean, that's the thing, is that you get to have a little bit of adventure in your day-to-day, which is quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty busy the last couple weeks as well. You think that things are going to be smoother when the new year starts. It's not the case. But it's
Never
been
is.
Good. Celebrated Chinese New Year, or Lunar New Year. Had some Thai Chinese friends have us over to their home, and we did some very traditional celebrations at midnight, which was a lot of fun. Had like a big offering table with all sorts of fruits and incense and all sorts of cool stuff like that. Went out to the Chinese temple in town the next day. And then last week was Bangkok Design Week. So there are all sorts of cool art installations and art exhibitions around the city. And I did a little staycation the other day in an area called Talat Noi, which is part of the old town. And they were doing a lot of this Design Week stuff over there. So I got to see some really great art. It was a lot of fun. So it's been good. It's been less adventurous than I maybe would have hoped for, I guess, starting out the year. But it's been fun.
That sounds really cool. The Design Week sounds cool.
Yeah, just local artists and students from the university, and they had different things set up in the Grand Central Post Office and in some cool cafes and just all around town. I think there's 3 or 4 neighborhoods that are hosting it this year. And it was just fun to kind of have a break in the routine. And I think that's really what it's all about. You know, James, you and I were talking. I have been kind of burned out so far this year. I'm tired. It's been a rough couple of weeks already, and it's just the start of a new year. So it was really nice to have a couple days away, even in the same city, do a little staycation, you know, rest by the river, have a couple beers on the river. And sometimes that's important, you know, just taking a break from your routine.
It really, really is. And I'm sort of getting to that point where I'm feeling very, very burnt out. You know, my routine is the exact same every day. It's get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to bed. And, you know, today my wife took today off work and we went down to Golden, Colorado, had lunch and just, it was snowing a little bit as we sat by the river for a while. And you need those days. You really do. And I think that's a good thing. Everybody just take a break from your routine.
Yeah.
You know, our podcast is all about, oh, find adventure, do this. But adventure, and we've said it many times before, doesn't have to be going on a trip or even going on a hike. It can be, I want to try a new coffee shop, or I'm going to try a new hobby.
Right.
Anything. If you want to start like cross stitching, that's an adventure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's our philosophy. That's the whole philosophy behind this show, right? Is that adventure is subjective.
Sorry, I spilled beer on my face. It's embarrassing. You can't see me. That's good.
Oh, man.
I went to, sorry, okay, so I thought I had just like a swig left.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more than I thought. And so I almost died just then. But, you know, that's fine. It's cool. Oh, man. But yes, adventure is very subjective. And I would say what my wife and I did today was an adventure.
Absolutely. Well, James, we've got a lot of great stuff coming ahead. This episode is really just sort of our reintroduction to the show, our second pilot, I suppose, if you will. And this episode is all about our travel and adventure resolutions for 2022, as well as what to expect in season 2. Now, one of the things that listeners can expect in our new season is new monthly challenges. So, James, why don't you tell our listeners, maybe if they're joining us for the first time, what the monthly challenges are, and then let's introduce our next one.
Yeah, of course. So our monthly challenges are little things that are we work very hard to make them accessible to everyone. Each month we will give you a new challenge. Most of the time there's something very simple, something as simple as drink a cup of coffee outside, try a new food, that sort of thing. We request you take a picture or video of you doing the challenge and sending it to us. And each month we pick the top 3, and those 3 people get a little prize.
This month, our new monthly challenge is to wake up early and watch the sunrise. And, we're releasing the show in February, but I went ahead and gave our loyal listeners a sneak peek of the challenge by posting the graphic on our Facebook page. And we've already had some entries. I mean, the first episode hasn't even gone out yet. We've already had some entries into this month's monthly challenge. But don't worry, folks, it's not too late. Since we're just getting started, this monthly challenge will be due at the end of March. That way you have a couple weeks to get it in. Wake up early and watch the sunrise. I don't know about you, James. I don't actually get to see the sunrise all that often. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be nice. And since it's winter, it means nobody's going to have to be getting up all that early.
That's true. In the middle of summer, you'll be getting up at 5 a.m.
Yeah. But most of our listeners are from the northern hemisphere. And so no one should be having to get up crazy early. But hopefully people will enjoy this challenge. So snap a photograph, take a video, send it to us, hello@attemptadventure.com, subject line challenge. This is just a way to encourage you to break your routine, to get outside, do something new and adventurous in your daily life that maybe you wouldn't make time to do otherwise. And I think that's what the challenges are all about. We started them originally as a way to launch the show last year, but they were so much fun and we had so much great feedback and so much fantastic participation that we just kept up with it. And we made it kind of a part of the show, a segment of this show. And I think that it's become something that I really enjoy. And I really enjoy seeing what our listeners come up with as well. And I just want to keep doing it. I just want to keep giving new monthly challenges every month or every other month.
For a co-host on a travel and adventure podcast, I am a very poor adventurer. I very easily become a creature of habit, and I don't think about expanding my horizons and trying new things. And one thing I love about this show is that it forces me to do that and forces me to think about things differently. It's more than just, oh, I should go out and try something new. It makes me think about what it is that I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, James, you said something really important. You and I, we host this show. We're not really adventurous people in our daily lives, or we wouldn't be if it wasn't for this show. I mean, that's actually why we started this show. It's accountability for ourselves and hopefully for other people who are in a similar boat to us, who want to be more adventurous, but don't actually sometimes do adventurous things. That's why we talk to real adventurers as well as just everyday people who have done adventurous types of things, because we want to have a realistic look at what adventure can be. It's not all just climbing Mount Everest, although that's a part of it, but it's also waking up early to see the sunrise and just trying to fill your life with amazing experiences and new experiences as you can. And that's, I think, really important. It's important to me.
Very, very important. And it's also important to mention that one thing you mentioned, like waking up early and watches the sunrise versus Mount Everest. Neither one of those things is inherently better than the other. I know, like for me, climbing Mount Everest would be cool. I'm never going to do it. And then there are plenty of people who couldn't care less. So yeah, I mean, if you wake up and go on a hike, that adventure is just as valid as someone who is going ice climbing or caving. It's just as valid.
Also, every week, James and I have to do something new and adventurous. We have to have new experiences every week. That's another part of this show. In the past, we were pretty forgiving with each other if we didn't do something. But this year, we're tweaking this game a little bit. And here's how it's going to work. Every week, I'm going to ask James if he did something new or adventurous, and he's going to ask me the same. And if we did, then we're fine. If we didn't, we're going to be getting a penalty. And last year, James, you and I were pretty kind to each other. We were very forgiving with each other.
Very forgiving.
We're too nice. And so this year, we're adding an element of randomness to this. We have programmed a digital chance wheel with some challenges. Some of them are easy, like, again, have coffee outside. Some of them are harder, go on a 10-mile bike ride. And there's a very small chance of just straight up having to pay the other guy $50. So you really don't want to get a penalty if you can help it. If you fail to do your penalty, however, you do have to go ahead and pay the other guy $50.
That's going to be fun. I'm excited about that.
I am as well. I think it's fun. I'm looking forward to the first time one of us has to take a penalty. It probably won't be anytime soon, I hope. But it will be fun. It will be hopefully a little bit tense, so we'll see what we land on.
Mm-hmm. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, this is going to prevent us from being too kind and too forgiving to each other if we have to take a penalty, which should make it a little bit more interesting and fun to listen to as well.
Yeah, and Michael and I, we've been friends for a long time, and like I wouldn't want to give him anything that's like too bad, and vice versa. But this way, you don't know if you're giving yourself a penalty or the other person. You don't know. It'll be fun.
And we're also expanding our media presence. And maybe, since you're spearheading this, maybe you can talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing on YouTube and beyond.
Yeah, so on our YouTube channel, we have some great some great old videos that Michael recorded, some Snack Time Asia,
Hmm.
great videos. We have some old travel vlogs, but we also have started putting out some gaming videos. Right now, we have been playing Geotastic because GeoGuessr costs money now. And so Geotastic, it's where you get dropped in a random location and you have to pinpoint where you are. So we've been doing that. We have 2 out, I think. We are going to be expanding our media presence on YouTube via gaming videos, but not just gaming videos. Michael, I know you've mentioned before wanting to sort of get back into the whole travel vlogging thing.
Yeah.
Um, I am also going to be working on that as well. Don't know when those will start coming. We got to work out some stuff.
One thing I'd like to propose, James, is that maybe for the monthly challenges, you and I both have to film them.
Yes.
And if we don't film them, then we lose the $50. Because I think that obviously I trust you and you trust me and you believe me if I say I've done it. And we've been taking pictures of them and all of that in the past. But I would like to add more content. So I think we should be able to film a even 1 minute, very, very, very short film of us taking part in the monthly challenges. So let's put those on our YouTube channel as well. Attempt Adventure.
So you can expect more videos, some fun gaming ones. You can expect some travel vlogs in the future.
Yeah.
And just in general, sort of a deeper look into Michael and I's sort of life, if you're interested in that.
Well, James, that being said, let's go on to our main topic now. Travel and adventure resolutions. Did you make any adventure resolutions for this year?
I did. I made some pretty broad ones because, I'll talk about this for a minute. Last year, or in 2020, 2021, we made some big plans. Very big plans, very specific plans. And of course, with the pandemic, those things didn't really happen. The biggest example is our Japan trip. We had a whole trip to Japan planned out pretty much to the letter. The only thing we needed to do was buy a plane ticket.
Right. Our whole idea was to go to Japan and shoot basically a travel film, as well as producing
Hmm.
some audiobook content. But because of COVID, it actually forced us to transform that into this podcast. That's where this podcast came from.
This podcast came from disappointment. But yeah, I mean, we were going to spend what, 3 weeks in Japan? 3, 4 weeks? Something like almost a month in Japan, just pumping out content. And obviously, we couldn't do that. And so this podcast came from it. And so this year, I avoided making sort of resolutions that are very, very specific
Yeah,
because I know for me at least, not being able to go to Japan and do those things, I don't know, it felt like a failure.
it did, even though it had nothing to do with us. It was not our fault. I mean,
Yeah. But it felt like a failure because we had planned it, we'd set out to do it, and it was going to be sort of it's going to sound silly, but it's like a big break kind of feeling. When that didn't happen, it was like, well, I felt like we lost something, even though we didn't. This year, my main resolution is to be more open about the types of adventures that I try. Because I will admit, if something doesn't sound interesting to me right off the bat, you're going to have a hard time to get me to try it. But then if you don't do those things, you can never get type 2 fun, which, as we all know, is one of my favorite types of fun.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I say as we all know, like everyone knows me.
Type 2 fun is stuff that's fun afterwards, not fun while you're having it.
Yes. You and I, we have some type 2 fun experiences, those good times. And so being more open to new ideas and new adventures rather than just doing the things I know I enjoy in different places. Trying new foods, fun, but I mean, at some point, the only adventure you're doing is trying a new restaurant. Or like even something that I really enjoy, like hiking. I know I enjoy hiking, so hiking in a new place is something I know I'm going to enjoy.
Right.
Whereas if someone's like, hey, let's go, I don't know, ostrich riding,
Right. Something completely out there.
for example, like something completely out there. I don't know. That sounds weird. And so I'm trying to be more open about that. It's kind of like the whole idea of if you get invited to a party and you're going to go, you never want to go to the party until you get there. The act of deciding to do something and getting there and doing is the hard part. That's my main one is yeah, being more open and accepting to new types of adventures, as well as just not beating myself up if something doesn't go as planned, because I'm very bad about that.
I think that you've made a good call in choosing very sort of general resolutions because this year is still quite unpredictable. Mine are also kind of vague. I want to spend more time outdoors, more time in nature. Last year, like you said, mine were very specific. I said I wanted to climb up Mount Fuji. I wanted to trek up Mount Kinabalu in Malaysia. I wanted to, go specifically camping on Doi Intanon, Thailand's tallest mountain. But this year, I'm not making any resolutions like that because those were very difficult to realize thanks to COVID, and I just don't know what's happening this year. So I want to spend more time outdoors. I do want to go camping more. I want to produce different types of content, maybe work on my creativity, work on some filmmaking, which is something I don't really know all that much about.
We'll go to Japan
Yes.
at some point. We will. It sounds too much fun to not.
Yeah.
It's not like Japan's going anywhere.
Hey, but if our listeners have any resolutions, write in and let us know if you're making any sort of travel or adventure resolutions this year, because you guys might think of things that inspire us that maybe we can turn into a monthly challenge or even a penalty for each other. So if you have a resolution that you've made, write in hello@attemptadventure.com. Subject line, I don't know, resolution. It'd be really fun to hear from you guys if you have any brilliant ideas.
Yeah, and we might add some resolutions to our own.
Yeah.
I would also like to put it out there is if you guys have any adventures that you want us to give it a try, please let us know.
Yeah.
If you have anything, say you have a hobby that you really like, say you're into mushroom farming.
Right.
And you're like, guys, they sell this kit online for beginner mushroom farming. Please try it.
Yeah, y'all can challenge us. Give us challenges. We'll do them.
Please do.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds fun. Now I want to grow mushrooms. I don't know.
Why not, James? That'd be something new and adventurous you could do for next week.
Let's try and grow mushrooms.
Yeah. Please don't poison yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I just drank a beer, so I'm already kind of poisoning myself.
That's true.
But in a good way. It's not a good way. This podcast in no means condones drinking. That was our last 3 podcasts.
Day drinking with Michael and James. Yeah, we've matured since then. All right, James. Well, now it's time for Adventures in the News. And this week, it is my turn as host of this week's episode. I have an article from the New York Times. The title is a really good question. It says, "Going Local. Is it possible, as a foreigner, to experience a country as its people do?" And I'd like to know, James, what do you think about that? Is it actually possible to experience a country like the locals?
I think yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And the reason I say yes is at my job, we have international college students that come and work for us. A group of 7 of them are from South Africa, and they live in the mountain town in a house. They shop at the grocery store. They come to work. They do everything. There is no difference in what they do day to day than what any other person in that town does. For you, a lot of our days in Bangkok are just what you would normally have done anyway. And I would argue at this point that you're a local.
Sure. I mean, that's one thing I was thinking. Like, I think I experience Bangkok as the locals do. I don't think I experience Thailand as the locals do. If that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I think that's hard to say then, because it's so different. Just like in the U.S., people living in a mountain town in Colorado have almost nothing in common someone living in Miami. Their day looks different, and the place they live is completely different. So I don't know. Can you experience a country like a local?
And is there a difference maybe between a country like the United States that is an immigrant country and Thailand, which is not, where anyone could become American, as we talked about in a previous episode, and be just as American as anyone that's lived there their entire life, versus a country like Thailand, where even if you do get citizenship, you'll never be considered to be a Thai person. You'll be a citizen, but not a ethnically Thai person. There's a difference. I wonder if that's part of it. I don't know. I don't have an answer to this question. I just thought it was a really interesting sort of philosophical travel question. Is it possible? And if yes, what are the limitations of that? And if no, how close can we get? Now, I don't have an answer. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that, say take Thailand for example, just because that's the one that you and I both have the most experience with.
Yeah.
You, at some level, like you said, even if you get Thai citizenship, they will never look at you as Thai. For right, whether that's right or wrong, we won't get into that. But ethnically, you are not Thai.
I'm not. No.
I think it might be different if you were an American that was born there.
Yeah.
So your parents worked in Thailand and you were born there. I think at that point, you're fully a local at that point. If you grew up there, if everything else, I think going somewhere as an adult, I think somewhere in your head, you always compare it to where you came from. And I think that gets less and less over time. Like you've been in Thailand for 8 years now? And so you probably don't do that very much. Because I know for you, yes, it is your home, but the US is also your home.
Right. But then again, I've only spent a handful of weeks in the US as an adult. I've spent my entire adult life here in Thailand. And recently, now my parents are getting ready to move out of my childhood home. They're moving down closer to Waco, to where my sister lives with her kids, which means that going back home won't feel like going home anymore. When I go back home, I won't go back to a home that I'm familiar with. I'll be going to a different city, a different house. So now the US is feeling less and less like home because I don't have an actual home to go back to. That's my home. So
Right.
now Bangkok really is my home. But am I a local? I mean, I'm a Bangkokian, sure, but am I, a local? Maybe in Bangkok. I think I know the ins and outs of the city really well. But,
Yes.
throw me in a village up in Isan or take me to a town in the far south where the culture and the day-to-day life and everything is so vastly different, and it would still feel very, very foreign to me.
Yeah, I think that's a better question. Is not, can someone truly experience a full country like a local? I would have to say no. Not without very serious work, because no country is the same from border to border. But can you experience a city like a local, a region like a
Oh,
local?
I would argue
Yes.
yes.
I do know that when I've been in Thailand and I talk to other Americans that have been to Thailand, my experience is very, very different from theirs, because I didn't stay in a hotel. I didn't take tours. I didn't go to these touristy restaurants and places. When we would go around, we just went to the places that you like, which are the places that have been shown to you by Thai people. Like Fried Rice Lady from your very first apartment.
Yeah,
Soup in a bag. Love soup in a bag. All soup should come in bags.
agreed.
We go to the mall.
Yeah.
And I would argue that how we experienced Bangkok, that's your home. And so we experience things like someone that lives there,
Yeah.
not someone visiting. And so, yeah, I would say, can you experience a full country like a local? Probably not. Can you experience a city or a region or state like a local? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good question. We're going to have to talk about that more.
Let's have a full episode about that. Folks, if you have a take on this, write in. Hello at attemptadventure.com. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and we just might read some on the air if you do write in. I know today's show is kind of a short one, but if you did enjoy the show today, please don't forget to subscribe. Consider giving us maybe 5 stars on your podcast app of choice. We'd love some generous reviews. It really does help us out. And before we finish up today, I just want to give you all another reminder of our monthly challenge. Wake up early and take a picture of that sunrise. Send it in, hello@attemptadventure.com, subject line challenge. You can find more Attempt Adventure content on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're Attempt Adventure everywhere. And please also visit our official website, attemptadventure.com, where you can find blog posts, show notes, pictures, videos of all the stuff we talked about in the episode. More fun stuff like that. And then if you want to send us listener mail, if you want to be a guest on the show, pitch a topic for an episode, send some adventures in the news, or just say hi, you can write to us, hello@attemptadventure.com, or get in touch via the little contact us button on the website. We read every message we get, and we always look forward to hearing from you. So folks, welcome back to Season 2 of the Attempt Adventure podcast. We're glad you're here. And until next time,
keep adventuring.